There. Now we're recording.
I'm
Welcome. My name is Mike Koenigs. Is the AI for quadrants. I've been working on a methodology that answers the biggest questions I think most people have about using AI in their businesses, and it is what tools should I use? How do you keep up with all this stuff? And what exactly do I need? Like, what's the minimum effective dose to get the most out of it? So, the four quadrants really are handling the biggest and most important things that we as business owners want. And I'd like to begin by saying in the next, I'd say 18 to 36 months, I believe businesses that don't adopt AI effectively are going to be at a severe competitive disadvantage. And since November of 2022, when ChatGPT was released, I started speaking on the topic approximately a day after it came out. And at this point, I know I've spoken in front of approximately 30,000 live people. And in terms of the platform size, it's in the hundreds of thousands. So that's really where some of the framing is coming from and some of the big questions that get asked. But work that used to take 3 months can now be done in 3 days or even 30 minutes. Some of the case studies that I'll share with you today come from the fact that we've been building entire businesses and brands inside of 3 days. And what we're finding is, number one, that's like a 60 times acceleration. One person can do the work that previously required a team of like 3 to 5 specialists. And we've taken, for example, an entire body of work, created a book, a website, complete marketing strategy in a single day. And that's stuff that used to take several months and cost. What I'm going to share with you today are four frameworks that will upgrade number one, yourself, number two, your business, number three, your team, and your brand with AI. And as the reason why I know you signed up is, you want to get some brand new superpowers. You want to find out what the easiest and best tools are. And one of the tools I'm going to demonstrate today, towards the tail end, can create entire marketing plans, presentations, copy, content, and books. I'm going to show you some real life examples of those. So this is designed for you, even if you're a total beginner or an advanced user. So with that, I've got 88 slides and 3,600 seconds planned for you. So are you ready to get this party started? Show me your hands. Some razzle dazzle. Very nice. Well, let's begin because if you know me and you've been around for a while, you know that I like to open up with stories and real life stories. So this particular one is how AI helped me get a speaking gig at the United Nations. And there's proof down there. In the bottom left is a picture of my wife and I. In the bottom right, we were in the one of the big rooms at the United Nations. But the way this story begins is I got a call from a good friend of mine. That's Dr. Denise and Barry Goldstein, really good friends. Dr. Denise called me up and said, "Hey, I have a really cool gig. How would you like to speak at the United Nations?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, that sounds great." And she says, "There's a catch. Number one, this is like Wednesday afternoon. You have to be there Friday, EST, in New York City in Manhattan at the United Nations building in less than 2 days. Number two, I need your speech written and your bio in UN approved language in 4 hours." And I am like, holy crap, completely impossible. Writing a good speech, oh, and I had 10 minutes. And you can't go over time. So got to work and I fired up, of course, some tools. So I'm going to show you the workflow that I use because part of what today's show is all about are like, what are the workflows that when you're under pressure, you got to build a brand, you got to create some content, you got to create a presentation, you got to get a sales team in motion, you got to find a new person. How the hell are you going to do that? So basically what I did is at that point, ChatGPT 4.5 had recently come out. The tool I'm going to be talking about today is version 3.0, which makes no sense at all, but I want you to know that there are new language models that have been coming out. Um, and this is the prompt I popped in, which is, I'm Mike Koenigs. I'm speaking at the United Nations to a group of senators, policymakers, people from the new Trump administration, other important delegates on the topic of AI. And by the way, it needed to be about women, entrepreneurship, AI, and providing equal access to women all over the world. So, which, what do I know about that, right? So anyway, I fed that into ChatGPT and it asked me some clarifying questions. This is a pretty recent shift. If you're using AI right now, you know that AI is starting to ask really good clarifying questions. The bottom line is within about 15 minutes, I'd gone through a couple iterations and I had a really good UN approved bio. I did have to yell at it a little bit to get some good results, but it finally came through. By the way, guys, if you can make sure that everyone is muted, um, just run a mute all, and then I'll unmute myself, okay? Sorry about that. I heard some clicks in the background. And there we are. So here you can see the result. And the next thing that I did is I fired up my wife. If you don't know her, she's been in the humanitarian world for about 20 years with something called the Just Like My Child Foundation. And I'm a huge believer in Otter. I use it. This is a big tip out of all the AI tools I absolutely could not live without. It's Otter. I record every conversation, whether it's in person. I always ask permission. But what I did is my wife and I just had a quick brainstorm for about 10 minutes on what should be included in this UN speech. All right. So I took that and I pasted that that just the chat that I did with Otter into ChatGPT again. And I basically said, write me a speech. Okay. Now it took a little bit of arguing, but the net result is it came up with a pretty good version right away. And what I'm going to show you right now is a document that was done in less than an hour. I got it to the UN in time. And was written in the language because I didn't know how to address the United Nations. So I basically told ChatGPT, write a UN approved speech. You can't use the word I in it. Nothing can really be about me. But not only did I get the speech written, approved, delivered, here's the other thing I did. Raise your hand if you're familiar with InVideo.ai. If you're not, it's come along a long way. I use it as a prototyping tool. Um, Basically, you can feed in just about any script. You can even train it in your voice now. So what I did for the UN is I pasted in my speech. I clicked on generate a video. And if you don't have this already, there's a QR code that goes to a trial of InVideo. I can't recommend this tool enough. It is one of the fastest shortcuts to creating uh, marketing content. It's not always usable in its state, but it allows you to write and create content that is really good, really fast in a really, really short period of time. We've been using it to prototype video content in minutes, weeks to do. But one of its recent capabilities is it has this thing that says generative media. So you click on that, and 100% of what it produces is synthetic, meaning it'll create video, B-roll, example stuff. And I'm going to play for you the first part of my UN speech narrated by a synthetic me, because if you record and upload only 1 minute of yourself, you can have you in the script. So if you want to really quickly create social media video or content that's creative, and I'd say good enough in some situations. Full disclosure, what we use it for is a first draft to just get scripts written really quickly. But I'm going to show you a version of the video, and if you want it, we'll paste this into chat. If you want to actually see the real video that I did at the United Nations, we'll get that to you too. But here it goes. I'll just play the first part for you. First, thank you to President Salwa and Ralph Cater and the entire United Nations community for creating this space and this essential conversation. Today, you'll experience practical ways we can immediately empower female entrepreneurs worldwide, particularly those who have historically faced barriers to global economic participation with AI. Let me give you a clear, practical example. Imagine a woman entrepreneur in Uganda, India, or any community around the world. She has a brilliant idea, a socially focused business plan, or an initiative that could transform her community. But there's one problem. She doesn't speak the language of global finance or fundraising. She might not speak English, French, Chinese, German, or Spanish fluently enough to confidently. So I'll just narrate over the top of this. Like I said, it's not perfect. The voice is a little wonky, but it created really good B-roll in the story. And more importantly, what I demonstrated was the fact that we could make it multilingual, crank this thing out in 20 languages in a matter of minutes. So the basic premise behind the speech was everyone in the world has access to an entire global market and can communicate with the entire world in any language with nothing more than basically a smartphone now. And I love the idea of the world being a bunch of entrepreneurs. I always have said that I think entrepreneurship is an international language of peace and prosperity, but this communicated an idea very, very quickly. And well, I got asked back to speak at the UN again. So if you just think about that for a moment, part of the objective of the four quadrants and what I'm going to share with you today is just get you really connected with how much time email is costing you every day, how much money it's costing you to go backwards, how many times are you missing out on opportunities? And when we break down what the quadrants are, I want to just set up the loss and the fear first, and then we'll get into the benefits and how AI can help get you there with some practical tools, and we will be giving you some workflows as well. So quadrant one is your AI superpowers. And these are just getting new AI capabilities that multiply your productivity or your teams by 3 to 10 times. So I'm going to show you a couple really, really good time hacks that have made a huge difference for us already. The next is the one-person marketing team. So that UN example is precisely that. It was like a speech, a bio, something that got attention. I was able to demonstrate a big idea um, with what normally would have taken weeks of time. I got it done in hours. And the whole idea is imagine right now if you had a one person marketing team that could grow your brand, your reach, and attention with high value, engaging content in your voice. There's a couple tools I'm going to show you today that can produce products inside of a couple hours. In fact, I'll show you a real example of one that we made. And then there's opportunities and income, which is closing bigger deals faster, accessing better customers, creating new offers, and commanding premium prices. One of the things I'm going to show you today is a campaign we recently created. We call it the Shake the Trees campaign. So if you've been in business for any period of time, you've got people you've spoken with, maybe folks on your list who didn't buy what you had then, but they would if you presented something new. And this is a way to present something new, but I've also got some tools to help convert a lot faster, like one call conversations and closes, and then the automations and scale. And if I really were going to make this super short, I could show you one tool today that I think kind of beats them all. But a big part of this is it wouldn't do you any good if you didn't have the frameworks first. And that is what's missing. So getting back to what I'm hearing over and over again from founders is how in the hell do you keep up with AI? It's moving so fast, overwhelmed to too many tools. How do I get my teams to use it? And how do we get people to adopt it as quickly as possible? And how do I scale and grow my business without having to add more people? So, I'm just curious by show of hands, if you actually pressed your raise hand button or in chat, um, who does not know me? That's a lot easier than who knows me. But if this is like one of your first times being here, I'd love to know if it's your first exposure to me in some way, shape, or form. But I'm going to make this so fast. But I'll give you my quick backstory. Greta just said first time. Tiffany said first time. Hi, nice to meet you. Um, so I'm a 23-year married husband and a dad. My son's 22. I'm a stage 3A cancer survivor. I had colorectal cancer 12 years ago, so I'm very happy to be alive. Um, I built and sold 5 companies, and I finally realized I don't like running them. What I like doing is building and collaborating. That's one of my unique capabilities. I've written 19 books. I do a couple podcasts and I speak frequently. AI is the current hot topic, and founder of Superpower Accelerator and AI Accelerator. So our core businesses are we create and launch businesses and brands in a week with founders, or secondarily, we've got an AI training business. And then we live in San Diego. That's our main home. I'm currently speaking to you live from Mexico via Starlink. We live in the Todos Santos area, and we also have been building a home in Malaga, Spain, where we also have 2 team members. So we're an international company. Um, so that's enough about me. There's a couple gifts that I have. If you do not have the AI Accelerator book and audio book, I'm going to pop those in, or my team is going to pop those into chat right now for you. But you can get it at aiaccelerator.com/free. And the audio book, and this is oh, by the way, one of the smartest things you can ever do, and AI can help you with this, is if you have a book or any content, you can create synthetic AI books that sound just like you, and you can launch them and give them away as podcasts. It is a very, very effective way to build an audience. And I would suspect that some of you may even be here today because you found me by way of a free podcast of my book. So it's just another distribution methodology. But that's the link to get that. All right. So moving along to Quadrant 1, your AI superpowers. And again, this is all about giving yourself and your team new AI capabilities. First of all, let's get this off the table. Here are my top 5 tools. If I only had 5 AI tools that I had access to, this is what they would be. Number 1 is Otter. Even though it's not really AI, it's got AI in it for recording conversations, etc. Now, there's lots of other alternatives. It's the one I use the most because it's easy to integrate. ChatGPT, the latest models. As of this moment, which changed last week, version 3 is actually the most advanced for most things, and I'll show you some demos. Then another AI called Claude, which is really good for copywriting, but I'm going to show you a hack today that just was released in the past week that's a massive time saver, that can link to your email in your calendar. And then Notebook LM is free from Google. It can summarize anything. It can write books. It can create copy and more. Depending on how we do on time today, I can demonstrate some in-depth stuff. And then I use a tool called Ideogram. A lot of the graphics that you see in my presentation, I did myself, and I use this tool called Ideogram. ChatGPT 4.0 does images, but I find I fight with it a lot. I don't get good results, and it's slow as heck. So those are the key ones. And don't worry, I'm going to show you some demos. So this, for example, is an image that I made with ChatGPT 4.0. And it's also a great way to just teach a framework, which is, we call it the MAC method for AI implementation. So the big question is, how do you keep up with AI? And the answer is, you don't need to, because it'll teach you how to use it. I'm a big believer right now that traditional linear education will be kind of dead soon. I think the human brain needs it. It works well, but everything you can learn on demand. And the next example I'm going to give you is something that I learned on demand. I made a complete workflow for you, and I got it by just transcribing and editing a YouTube video. Okay, sounds like cheating, but when you look at the results, I think you'll agree with me it's not. So then it's assistant, which is do it for me, and then the critic is now critique and improve it. So you don't have to learn how to do or save a bunch of prompts, because AI will make them for you now, and it'll ask clarifying questions. And that's a big shift. So this is something we're going to put in chat. Oh yeah, this is an example of what I did. So that first image, as I said, was done with ChatGPT 4.0. I had it take a picture of me and make a cartoon image. So that's the other thing it can do now, is do a pretty good job. This is using Ideogram, and you can see the prompt was create a futuristic neon billboard with a crowd facing the sign that says the MAC method. So my opinion is packaging positioning matters a lot. You can make anything look absolutely amazing. Ideogram right now is the fastest, easiest way to do that. I'll show you some book covers in a little while. But one of the biggest and most important things I do is I create visuals of everything we do and as close to real time as possible. I find it gives me a great dopamine hit. And speaking of dopamine hits, I want to give you a prize, which is AI as your meta coach. I'm going to first just show you the prompt. Scott is about to paste it into chat so you have it. So grab that, save it, and if you want to, while I'm telling you this, you can paste it into ChatGPT. Now, recently, as in very recently, ChatGPT now has a hell of a memory. It remembers your conversations. Yes, you can delete them if you want to, but it learns now, and it learns your patterns in your history. So if you take this prompt, which says you're my AI meta coach, based on your full summary of our past conversations, I want you to do the following. Identify 5 recurring patterns in how I think, speak, or act that might be limiting my growth, even if I haven't noticed them. And then for each blind spot, tell me where it shows up, what belief or emotions behind it, how it might be holding me back, and a practical and comfortable action I should take to challenge it. And then a 7-day recalibration exercise based on what you've observed. Don't be gentle, be accurate. I will tell you right now, you will be shocked at how accurate it is. Now, the only way it won't be accurate is if you haven't been using ChatGPT. But it is remarkable how accurate it is. And I'll show you something a little bit later with a tool that we've built that we actually mind read our prospects before we speak with them, and we synthetically guess their Kolbe score, their Enneagram, their Myers-Briggs, their Strengths Finder, and 6 other personality profiles, usually within a point of each other, just from their digital footprint. So I'll show that to you a bit later. So just imagine if in the future you were speaking with someone and you knew everything about how they think. Do you think you could be more persuasive and more authentic and have a deeper connection faster? And if your sales teams could do it as well. So that's one of the things I'll show you. So that was a little gift. Pretty intense. Thank you, Jeff Spencer. I love you, brother. So let me show you another little tool in a workflow, and we're going to give this to you. Claude has a new capability now, and you can see it right here, where you can connect to your Google Drive, your Google Calendar, your Gmail. And just for the record, when you have a paid version of Claude, know that when you're using paid versions of the tools, many of them do not train with your data. Just like Google and the internet and your mobile phone, if you're not paying for something, you are the product. You always have to remember that. When you're paying for it, you can opt out of the training, but Claude, you can do that. So I'm telling you that because a lot of people are going to say, oh my God, what's going to happen to my data? And first of all, the best thing and the smartest thing you can do now is innovate quickly and iterate quickly and be first to market. That's the fastest way to protect yourself. But you can connect Google Drive, Google Calendar, and Gmail. And why do you care about that? Well, I'm going to give you a prompt. So you connect them and you just log in. And then you can paste in a prompt, which I am going to give to you right now, which I call your AI superpowers for email. Now, this is a document. It's a workflow. And basically what it is, it's a prompt that effectively is telling Claude to look through email in the past and find lost opportunities and important emails for you, and then it will write responses for you and do it in batches. So Lori, who's in here right now, she's worked with me now for over 15 years. This is one of her daily activities because one of the things that we've noticed is when I've got a lot of emails coming in, sometimes some stuff gets missed. So this thing can go through and identify it. You can also tell it to, and here you can see some of the immediate actions. Now I sanitized this a bit and I got rid of people's real information, except for one I see, but it examines the situation, it makes a recommendation, it pre-writes the email in my voice, and it looks through the top emails. So one of the biggest things I hear from every entrepreneur is, God, I wish I had an email solution. This is an email solution, and it will also work with your calendar as well. So you can basically give this thing an instruction, say, look at my calendar and tell me all the patterns and tell me how to become more efficient. And that, by the way, is in the workflow that we're giving you. So hopefully that feels like it's an 11 out of 10 gift, but I wanted to give you something you could literally copy, paste, and use, and it can be free. All right? Allison's OMG, and Lisa says that's an 11. All right, I got to give you one more. This is one that we've installed. It's really cheap, and it is called Fixer, Fyxer. I put up a QR code for you. So what does Fixer do? Fixer is a real-time tool that can run inside your mailbox, and it's like your AI executive assistant that learns your voice and learns how to speak like you. And what it does is it examines incoming emails and it automatically puts them into boxes and it drafts responses for you. So it sorts email. You can also add a feature that when someone requests a meeting, it will look and find available meeting spots on your calendar and offer them to the person. Completely programmable, and it is really stupid simple to set up. Lori and I got it set up, I think, in about 15 minutes or so. Um, and it categorizes stuff. Like I said, it pre-writes the drafts, and it'll even give you multiple options. So all you have to do is go inside your box every once in a while, or have your assistant do it. That's what Lori does for me. Find the best draft, delete the other one, and hit send. So cheap, really, really usable. So I have another thing that's really important from a mindset perspective. So how do you keep up with AI, with all this stuff? How do you get most effective, and who on your teams are going to be good at it if you're trying to get your teams to use it? So I believe the future belongs to curious generalists. Specialization is easy to replicate with AI, but things that involve human beings in iteration are very human specific, and AI is not great at that. But it is an unforgivable sin, in my opinion, to be unresourceful. Meaning, if someone doesn't look at Google, for example, to find something, it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? It's unresourceful. Now AI can teach you anything. You don't need Google anymore. And by the way, Google is completely corrupt. Wouldn't trust it with anything. And AI, do I trust it a little bit more? Yeah. But that is the key is, if you've got people on your teams, or if you are curious, you're willing to experiment and have a generalist mindset, that is a massive benefit. So I'm just curious. If you just think about, if you could save yourself 1 to say 4 hours a week just in email alone with some of the stuff I've shown you, what would that mean for you from a time perspective and a money perspective? Or if you had, have you ever lost a deal because you missed an email? If you had a tool that went backwards in time and analyzed it for you. Okay, Lisa says $5,000 at least. All right. And Robert says 10 to 15 grand. Good. So let's move on to quadrant number 2, the one-person marketing team to grow your brand, reach, and attention. This one you're really going to want to pay close attention to. First of all, I love frameworks. When you have frameworks, you have freedom. This is a framework from my book, Your Next Act. We call it the 6 M's. If you understand this model, you can solve any business problem. Okay? So the first one is the mindset. That is yours and your business's non-negotiable values. That effectively dictates the culture of your business and the culture of your customers and who you attract, and also how you think and behave. By the way, AI can help you create all these really, really quickly. I'm going to give you some tools to do that. The market is who you want to be a hero to. It's also known as your ICP, or ideal customer profile. The reason why most people suck at marketing is they don't know who their customer is, or they let the wrong ones in. The model is your brand promise. It's your offer and how you make money. The message is the stories or the marketing messages that are told to elevate the audience and say, God, I want that transformation. Please take my money and give it to me. The media are the marketing channels you get there. So right now you're on a webinar. In a bit, I'm going to show you some of my books. some of my audiobooks, and also a new methodology we're using that's super effective that you can model yourself. And then finally, multipliers are the strategies and tactics of getting there. So today I'm going to show you 3 of our really powerful multipliers that you could model and emulate. All right. So Heather just says, what's the best AI for creating an online course? I'm getting there, sugar. I'm getting there. So here's a couple more freebies for you. One of them is your next act. This is the book that I just took the 6 M's from. Super useful, especially if you want to reinvent yourself. And we'll put that link inside chat right now for you. And secondly, this is the podcast version, the audiobook version. Why is it a podcast? Because I've found that giving away books is a really great way to build a relationship. It takes 7 hours and 28 minutes that people invest usually to make a buying decision nowadays. That's why long form content works so well. And they're using what? Long form podcasts and AI to make buying decisions, in many cases over traditional media. So I'm going to go through a couple of our one-person marketing team tools. So ChatGPT, the latest model, already covered that. You're going to notice the stacks. You don't need a lot of tools. Notebook LM, already mentioned that. Hell of a tool. Next one, Ideogram, already mentioned that. Great for images. And then in video, which you've already seen. And then my secret sauce is coming up. So the point that I'm trying to get at here is you don't need a lot of tools to get an awful lot of stuff done. And instead of living in the overwhelm bucket, you're better off understanding the frameworks and the mindsets. That's the secret to great AI usage, both from your perspective and your team's. So I'm also going to say something here right now. I do pay for these tools. Tools like, for example, ChatGPT, I pay for the premium model because I don't ever want that thing to get shut off, and I've got access to a Genius IQ 24/7, 365 for $200 a month. Where else are you going to get that kind of help and support? The same thing with Claude. So in my opinion, I have an old saying, which is, if you drive 50 miles to save a nickel on a gallon of gasoline, you don't understand time value. I value my time at $2,000 every 10 minutes. And I behave that way. So I do anything I can to save it. So that brings us to a couple other tools. Don't worry, Justin, I'm getting there, brother. All right. How to finally make AI right in your voice. This is a frustration for most of us, right? So this is a prompt that you can take, and we will copy and paste it into chat for you. But if you take a look at that, this is how to create a writing style guide. So now this does require that you have some kind of a footprint or you've got some other stuff. You can just copy in your own stuff. But if you just say create a writing style guide for your name here or anyone's, here's your websites. And then if you also add your LinkedIn and any other social accounts. And this is the way it works. And this is using ChatGPT 3.0 and the deep research. You see that button there? It says deep research. Why do you need deep research on? Well, it's simply because when that thing gets activated, ChatGPT will go out, first of all, and ask you some clarifying questions. What types of content will this apply to? Websites, social media posts, keynotes. Do distinguish between different tones for different platforms? Are there key phrases, brand language, or terminology you consistently use? Are there do's and don'ts? Great clarifying questions. The reason why human beings don't get what they want, don't have the lives they want, don't have the results they want is because they ask crappy questions. All right? AI is helping us answer a lot better questions right now. So I basically said, all uniform, look it up, It's like asking me to do its work for it. I yell at AI all the time. And by the way, saying please and thank you doesn't matter. It wastes cycles. I don't know if you saw that report this last week. Anyone who tells you have to be nice to AI is a moron. All right. It's a robot. It doesn't have feelings. Okay. So you're wasting money if you're saying please and thank you. But if it makes you feel good, do it. Anyway. So now you can see, and by the way, I sped this up, but it's searching the internet for all sorts of content and information, et cetera, et cetera. And it's building my profile of how to speak. Now, here's what's so important about this. Once it's done, you save that as a file. And anytime, and by the way, if you look at this, you know, it nailed it. Authoritative, inspirational, short, punchy sentences. It nailed my style. And now that you have that, you can load that into Notebook LM or any chat GPT with any content, even someone else's, and say, rewrite this in my voice and use my style guide. And boom, it'll crank out really good copy and content. All right. Useful? On a scale of 1 to 10? On a scale of 1 to 11. All right. So, and yes, I always save it as an attachment. And I've got it in a directory. I call it AI training. And so I'm going to show you another one, and it gives lots of examples. So you can see them here: third person, first person examples. So the more content you have online, the more it's going to do for you. Now I'm going to show you another really important one. Remember that knowing your market is important. Your ICP is your ideal customer profile. If you just have that, and you say, now take this information and create an ICP based on his website and platform for you, even if you don't have it, this thing is going to tell you more about your clients than you probably even know, and your style, especially if you're using ChatGPT more and more. So you can see here, it built my ideal customer profiles. And I just ran this right before I started, like literally within 30 minutes. The report I ran last week wasn't nearly as good. So I share this with you because if your response or reaction to something I'm saying is, oh, I tried that and it sucked, it's like, you got to try it again. These things are getting so smart so fast, and they're learning quicker, gobbling up more information, and thinking faster. The release speeds of these tools is phenomenal. And I am completely tool agnostic. So a month from now, I might be saying, you know, which which tool to use. And I do switch it up because I don't have a loyalty to a company. What I have is a loyalty to an outcome and a result. Um, and I oftentimes consult with multiple. But this thing nailed it. I was blown away. And now from this, when I show you what we can do next, you can build entire businesses from scratch if you can teach AI your voice and your ideal customer profile. And that's what the third one is. All right. So, quadrant 3 is opportunities and income. And from my point of view, it's closing bigger deals faster, accessing better customers who pay you more, always creating new offers, and commanding premium prices. Your goal should be a category of 1, which is the best, the only, and the most expensive. So this is an important framework. I got to give Scott Conorton, marketing director here, he is on screen, credit for this. We were just talking about this yesterday, and it's the 10-80-10 AI framework. So here's the basic idea. You've got to give AI a little something to chomp on, some instructions to get some results, right? You got to tell it what you want. 80% of the work can be done by the AI now. And then there's some polishing that needs to happen. Now the polishing is getting more and more done. I'm going to show you a couple things that blew my mind that were just only possible starting about 2 weeks ago, including a couple tools. But even the 10 up front, remember when I talked about the methodology of AI will teach you how to use it. You can ask it to give you the prompt, and then it'll ask you clarifying questions to improve that. But let's move on into something practical and tactical with this. So first of all, some of the opportunity and income tools. Again, ChatGPT 3.0, as of right now, is about the smartest model, especially when you're using deep research. Chat 4.0 is the one that makes pictures. Notebook LM, that is my go-to for just about everything. Again, at the very end, if you want to see a demonstration of how I write books with Notebook LM, I'm going to get to it. I wanted to show you some different things today. Claude, again, great for copywriting. Can now link to your email and calendar. Gamma.app is one of the tools that I use for creating presentations very, very quickly, and also a tool called Lovable. This is if you've wanted to prototype an idea or a website very rapidly that looks good and has good copy. And I'm going to show you an example of that. So let me give you the use case. This is a doctor, a friend of mine. His name is Dr. Stephen Poulter. I know him from Strategic Coach. And what I did is I made a little prompt, and I speak my prompts, by the way. I don't type stuff. I just talk to it. I turn on my voice recognition. So my name is Dr. Stephen Poulter. I want you to take all my content and information that's available online, visit my social media sites and services. I want you to create an ICP, ideal customer profile, based on all the people I seem to be speaking to, which are couples who wish to get pregnant. And then model and synthesize and integrate all my content and create a New York Times bestselling book using 3,500 word chapters. I want you to open with a notable hook or quote that's relevant to the chapter with anecdotes and examples I speak about, and then write the entire book for me and fill it full of question answers and make it super engaging and interesting to my ideal customer profile. Okay. Now, oh yeah, and then the call to action is reach out to my practice to schedule a conversation with me. He's the top IVF doctor in the United States right now. That's his claim to fame. Now, the by the way, is I attached his books to this, and I pasted in his website. So he's got a couple books. One of them's Get Pregnant Now. The other one is Overcome PCOS. And I did run the Stephen Poulter writing style prompt earlier that I made. Now, just full there you go. Very funny. Never Terry Gangres, you funny guy. Never knew taking notes was an aerobic activity. So what happened here is I'm using a tool called Manus, manus.im. This is an agent. And instead of having to, right now you have to do a prompt and then you have to do another prompt, you have to do another prompt. Look at what this thing cranked out. I'm going to click right now and you're going to see, boom, it wrote into the entire book outline and it formatted it. It came up with here are all the chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2. So it scanned all of his stuff online. It looked through all of its content. It studied his voice and his tone, and boom, it cranks out an entire book outline. All right. Here's a chapter. This is chapter 6. So it opens with a quote and it writes in his voice. It synthesizes his best content from social media. It's formatting it, writing in his voice. Now, just so you know, I sped this up. I did record it, so I didn't have to try running this. And I'll click on another chapter here. It went out, it created all the chapters, and then I was able to just download them and then put them in a document. Remember, I just said 10, 80, 10. So my first 10% was figuring out what the hell I wanted to do, write a book, collecting some of the data. The 80%'s done by the AI. And the next 10 is, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of editing after the fact, but compared to a month ago or a year ago, this stuff is really, really close. We're writing good enough books that need fairly minimal editing now. And in a moment, I'm going to show you a strategy, a big money-making strategy that we used on top of this. But first, one more. This is a tool called Lovable. And Brent just asked a question. Manus is invitation code only. So right now you get on a waiting list. I have 2 codes. I'll explain how I'll give those away at the end of this show. So right now, trying to get access, the way to do it is apply and say you help people make money on the internet. They approve those faster than other things. I only waited 2 days. I've heard of some people waiting long, but it is invitation right now. All right, here's the other one. This is Lovable. This is a tool that not only builds websites. So what I did is I added another prompt and I said, hey, Dr. Poulter wants to make money from passive income. Come up with an idea that he can use for generating passive income. And I went over and I pasted that prompt into Lovable. And what it did, and you'll see it in a second here. So I'm going to start it up again. On the left is a prompt that AI made. I didn't I didn't write it. I just said he wants to make a software product. Okay. Something that generates passive income. And I came over and I pasted it in to Lovable. Lovable will actually write and create software products with no coding. All right. So what you're seeing right here, and I'm zooming in the screen. So it wrote this copy and it came up with a pricing model for him. It came up with all the features. It built the website, and it even has a semi-functional chatbot on it. Now, how is this useful? It's because sometimes the hardest thing is when you're ideating and you're trying to come up with something, it's like having something to look at so you can communicate to a developer or the executor. So, what used to take weeks or months can now be done inside of like I prototyped this in 20 minutes. Um, and even has a mechanism for creating a user ID and account. So, and it's free. Pretty remarkable. They have a paid plan, but you only pay when you deploy the software. But my wife, who's starting a new podcast, used it to prototype her new website, and it writes pretty darn good copy. I do have an oh, by the way here. If for any reason at any time you want to book a conversation to talk to us about implementing and using AI in your business, you can scan that link. Aaron Biblo, who's actually flying to me right now, but I think he's listening in. He's on chat. Is He's here right now. Yeah, you just put it up. If you want to book a conversation with us and talk about AI or implementing these, go to that link. It's just my name /talk, or scan that QR code. That's the easy button. So now I'm going to show you. I'm going to take this just another step further on the layers level. And by the way, I just want you to know, if I have 2 days with you, sometimes it's 2 hours. My goal today is to give you as much as I can of some of the newest stuff and stimulate your mind, but also give you some usable things you can take away and have some instant wins. It's like that prompt, for example, that just gives you a meta coach. Sometimes just getting in the right confidence mode is enough to get the boost, or have your email tackled. But now I'm going to show you where the big money is, and I'm going to reveal a couple campaigns that have been worth multiple six figures to us just in the past month. So this is how we turned a webinar into a product, a website, and an email campaign with AI. First, the framing. We created a campaign. It's called the Virtual Cup of Coffee. This is where I get a lot of people who say, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" And the answer is, "Yeah, it's $1,000. Why do you do that? If you don't pay, you don't pay attention." And the biggest block and the biggest mistake any business owner ever makes is giving away their time, especially to people who don't have skin in the game. So what's important about this is the value we create is massive. And I'm going to show you how in a second, because we build an 80-page dossier, deep dive report into the person we're talking to, and can effectively see their future and help them determine what to do next in their business. That's the real value. But this whole product was created because I had a conversation with someone. I got an interview of someone who talked about the $1,000 cup of coffee, and I used AI to build the entire campaign. Scott finished it, but I had the first part of it done in about 40 minutes using the same mindsets I've shared with you. Okay? So what we did then is a couple weeks ago, we did a webinar, and it's called Unlock Your Greatest Superpower and Become a Category 1 Brand and Transform Yourself in Your Business. It's effectively a toolkit for how to reinvent yourself and your business and create a new brand and create higher ticket, higher value products and services. Now, here's what I did. A friend of mine, his name is Bob Sterling, has a report methodology for creating high value reports. Just think of it as a book that you'd charge $100 for. And what I did is I took our transcript from the webinar that I performed, and my speaking style, and I fed this into Manus, which I showed you before. Okay, so basically the campaign is as follows. It's create a version of the customer-driven framework special report based on the context and offers from the webinar. So I didn't have to teach it anything. It literally is just taking your voice. It's taking your content. And you could use anything you have to do this. And I said, make a special report, but make it look like my friend Bob Sterling's special report that he's already charging money for. So I just want to repeat that. You can tell AI to model anyone's framework and take your content and it'll build something for you. And what it did here is it wrote the report, okay? It did a nice job of formatting it, and it even wrote the first version of the sales website, which I'm going to show you in a second, okay? And we literally just released it today. So here's what the final report looks like. And Scott formatted it. It's called Project Superpower. It's how to turn yourself and your business. And what's important about this webinar was a very high converting webinar. A lot of people became customers because of it. So now, instead of it just being a video, it's a guide. It's a printable guide. It's something you can read on anything. And it's great content, if I say so myself. I mean, it's some of the best stuff we've ever learned. It's filled with transformational stories and case studies and use cases. But Manus wrote, and I got to ask Scott to come on here because I haven't asked you this question. I'm going to put you on the spot. How close to done was it when I sent you the first draft?
I would say 60% done, and then I filled in the gaps with ChatGPT 4.5.
Okay.
And then my own, I finish off the sort of last 5 to 10%.
Okay. Good. That's pretty good. So there's a question that just came up. Carlos said, "Well, can't we use ChatGPT for this?" Manus is an agent. It'd be like if you had to do what Manus does with ChatGPT, you'd be prompting it for 2 or 3 days. And I've done that before. If you've tried writing a book with ChatGPT, you know what? A, it sucks. B, it's a lot of prompting, a lot of doing over. This thing can do the whole thing. So as Scott said, I built the initial framework inside of about in less than an hour and pass it along to him. Now, this is the a version of the website. So I'll start this over again. And this is a legitimate offer, by the way. If you want to check it out, what you receive is the special report. You get the video training and some other bonuses. But my recommendation to you is get this and model it. And the reason for that is if you do any kind of selling and you need more partners, more effective ways to get in front of more people, and at least do an initial transaction. Remember what I said, if they don't pay attention. Having a low ticket offer is one of the smartest things you can ever do. I don't care what kind of business you're in. It's also a way to engage partners. So, and if you take a look at the website, I got to give Scott a lot of credit for that. But the first draft was made with Manus, and it even did the initial formatting. So we're not quite at the point. Agents aren't 100% of the way there where you can uh, um, do everything. It's not going to finish. That's what the 10-80-10 is about. Humans still got to get in there and polish, but man, is it getting good. It's really close. And Dr. Denise Warden just asked, is this HIPAA compliant? Dr. Denise, I believe Notebook LM is HIPAA compliant if you're using the paid version. I do not know about Manus, but that's a hell of a good question. All right. John Kissel, thank you for that, brother. I see you there. You're looking very manly today. All right, now let's do automations at scale because this is where we put all these little juicy nuggets together. So what are my top automation and scale tools? Well, everything you've seen so far, which as you've seen, I try to keep it now under 10. Manus, we've talked about that. I am a big fan. There's another tool called GenSpark.ai. It does similar things to Manus, but it is not nearly as good. It's error prone, but I've gotten some good stuff done with it. and then having a library of workflows and playbooks. Now, I've given you a couple examples. Like inside our programs, for example, in our trainings, we've got workflows and playbooks that spell this out step by step. It's my opinion that the best and fastest and most effective way to learn how to use AI is to do it in person or in a weekly mastermind sort of format where you're doing a project and you're doing it workshop style. But I'm going to show you probably one of the most powerful things we've done. I'm going to give you the mini version. I'm going to show you the maxi version. This is the single biggest secret we've used to elevate our sales in the past 60 days. So, number one, this is a deep research AI prompt. I will make sure that we paste that into chat for you. I'm actually going to grab it right now because I don't know if I gave this to you, Scott, but I'll paste this into everyone in the meeting so you have it. And I'll go back to sharing my screen. And also know that I've experimented with a lot of models to make this work. We are now, we've got a little software product that's doing this for us to make it more effective. And you'll understand why in a second. Because, like I said, this is one of the most significant income generating tools we have in our arsenal now. It's Know Thy Customer. So, first of all, the heading is I am. So you have you in there. Here are my websites, LinkedIn site. So again, this is assuming you have a footprint. If you don't have a footprint, you'd need to make a style guide with your stuff in it or take some of your content. And then give me a complete background dossier for a person with their websites and their LinkedIn. Okay. And then the purpose, I want to collaborate, grow his business, create more reach, access a larger audience. This is effectively our deliverable and our promise for the Superpower Accelerator when we build businesses. And then tell me everything you can about him, his personal life, his interests, past deals that will help me. Okay. Build trust, engagement, negotiate positively and ethically, and then add 10 tips using Chris Voss's best negotiation strategies based on his interests, his goals, and results. Now, I'm going to just hit, show you what this looks like. So I paste that into ChatGPT with deep research. Now, I've used every freaking model you can get your head around. I used to use Perplexity for it. Not good enough. I was using ChatGPT 4.5 up until a week ago when 3.0 came out. And you'll see it asks some clarifying questions. What's your timeline? What do you want to do? What do you want to focus on? Any specific format. Now, I usually just say, give me everything. I want you to work. Don't make me do any working or thinking if I don't have to. You got a genius with a better than, basically a PhD level researcher IQ working for you. And this thing does its research. So full disclosure, this thing cranked for about 20 minutes. I sped it up so you can see it. Um, and now I'm going to show you what it produced. Okay. And this is the mini version. Ours that we have, it adds more stuff because I add personality profiles and synthesizing and looking into their better future self. We're producing an 80-page document, but this one here is, this is his, it gets into his background, his values, his business profile, his offerings, target clients. Now, what does this mean? When I do a conversation now, when I do the $1,000 cup of coffee, I don't have to ask anyone any questions. I can fire right in and start delivering value. If I have a 10-minute meeting with someone, I basically can predict their future. I know their past. I know what makes them tick. I know anything about their past. And if you have a sales team or you have anyone talking to anyone, this is the key to business of the future. And we're at the point now where we're automating this. We'll be able to produce, 20 of these inside of 20 minutes, which can dramatically increase sales. So if you're in any kind of business that involves working with people, that means all of us, this is a massive, massive breakthrough. And yes, I'm aware a lot of people will be like, oh my God, What about my profile? What about I tell everyone the same thing. The moment you bought a smartphone, the moment you use the internet, you gave up your privacy. If you don't like it, move under a rock. This is the world we live in now, and you can emulate and synthesize virtually anything. And I know on one hand it might suck. On the other hand, I've never felt so motivated, so creative, and so excited to be alive ever before. And everyone I work with now doing this AI, when the lights go on, they're like, "Oh my God, I got more done. That used to take me 3 weeks, and they got it done in 30 minutes." So I understand there's a trade-off here, and I don't wanna just whitewash it, but being able to know people and have a deeper, more meaningful, intimate connection in a short period of time matters. So this is our working version. This is what we create when we do the $1,000 cup of coffee with someone. So we put a nice cover on it, and I sanitize this. It actually is from someone real. We come up with 10 recommendations for their business right away. So if I were working with you right now, and if all I had were you fill out a short form, give me your web address, email address, I can synthetically estimate all your major personality profiles. I don't know if you saw all those there, but this thing does the Colby, which normally takes about 40 minutes and $40. It guessed it within a point on each side. The Enneagram, it does the Myers-Briggs, okay? Clifton Strengths, the Strengths Finder, Principles U, Ray Dalio's, Hogan Assessments, Print, the Big Five, okay? And then it gives me a full strategic brief, determines the core strengths, their superpowers. It summarizes this. It actually gets into the deep psychology of the person. And yes, I know this might seem a little scary, um, but the stuff is out there. You know, really good psychologists can glance at someone, talk to them for a few minutes, and come up with this stuff. But then getting the deep background, the deep personal history, and synthesizing that in a meaningful way. So this is where, you know, you got to look at this and say, all right, it might be a little scary. How do I get started? How can I use this? The answer is a little at a time, or there are some ways to shortcut and make it faster. But here I've got the Chris Voss style negotiation strategies. It analyzed them and it came up with that. So I walk in and ethically I say, look, I've got a deep research report on you. And they're like, really? About me? Yeah. And your better future. But I believe this is what we should all be doing in our businesses, especially if you've got, again, advisory, coaching, consulting, anything that involves people. So the front end for this is the $1,000 cup of coffee. And that's where we do that and provide this work. So again, if I would have to do that deep research, think about it. I'll ask you this question and type it into chat. If you had to do deep research and look up someone's total background, everything they've done, try to figure out what their personality profile is, get their entire body of work, learn about their platform, their books, any podcasts they've been on, the history of their business, how much time, how much money would you have to invest or spend on someone, and what level of person to get that done? What would your answer be? Okay. Yeah, Lisa just said 15 grand. So yes, Lisa, the answer is we go from it's a special report or a webinar to the $1,000 cup of coffee, and then into one of our bigger programs where we're building a business or we're doing AI for the business owner. We find the thing that they need most that will give them the biggest impact, help them generate the most revenue, impact, and also joy for the founder. Yep. Yeah, and John said, "Truth is I wouldn't do it. It's too much time." And so that is the real answer. It's just an insane amount of labor. I used to pay someone about $10,000 and it'd take them a week to do a tiny percentage of what is in that. Okay? So I'm gonna show you one more thing here, and then I'll do some Q&A. And if you'd like, we can also deep dive into any one of the other tools. So go ahead and drop in any questions you have in chat. But I'm gonna show you something that we're doing. I've had tons of people say, is there some way me and either my partner, co-founder, and my implementer can do AI and be able to learn this stuff and implement it. And we're putting on an event. It's called AI Accelerator Live. It's in San Diego. This particular one is on June 2nd and 3rd, but it's hands-on workflow. So if you just imagine what we did in less than an hour, imagine if you'd actually do workshops and get to do this and get feedback and walk out with stuff that's done and have the tools in your arsenal. So it's split up into 2 days. Day 1 is working on your AI superpowers. So like, for example, the thing we did with the email, you're going to have multiple tools, multiple workflows that give you your time back and make you hyper high performance, and your implementer too. So we also include 2 digital tickets so your team can watch virtually. Um, Session 2 is your one-person marketing team. So it's literally build your marketing and your content in while you were together. And this is not about you having to do it yourself, but I have a strong philosophy that founders cannot be dictators and say you will use AI or else. You got to understand what it can do and what it can't do and have a sense of what the tools are about. Doesn't mean you have to be proficient at it. Okay. So the one person marketing team is just getting stuff done that elevates you, whether it's the book, marketing content, copy, and being able to produce months worth of work in a matter of hours. Um, Session day 2. So then we work on opportunities and income, which is where to find hidden money in your business. I always call it their shake the tree campaigns. AIs that can examine your entire business. One of the bonuses we're including is I'm actually going to give you my deep AI that we do deep research on our clients, which alone is priceless, but we're gonna run the report on you as well. So when you walk in the room, we will have done deep analysis on you and your business and given you ideas on what to do. So that's your opportunities and income. It's boosting both. And then 4 is how can you automate with agentic technology so you don't have to hire more people to get more stuff done. It's getting these little machines running in the background for you. All right. So that's the structure. And every one of these tools opens up with a real life case study of someone just like you. We introduce the tools, the workflow, and then we workshop it together. And then you get to do it. And then we come back and we talk about what we learned together, which is by far the most effective, fastest way to learn AI, especially if you have someone there with you. Um, all right. So let's see. Next up. So who it's for? So the people in the room, this is not a, hey, can I just send my employee there? The founder has to be there. That's number one. This is a founder-focused event, and there's an option to add co-founders or implementers, and you get 2 tickets to bring someone. But it is not designed to have a whole bunch of implementers in the room because if you're a dictator, this is not for you. And you need to be the check writer or the decision maker. In my experience, Colby quick starts are the most effective at making this work. If you're a fact finder, which means why, how, and you do that for 2 days, you're going to get nowhere. That's just my bias. But it's really a can do. I want to make this work, and I've got a need to do it, which is driven by the fact that if you don't start using AI soon, someone else competitively will be. So the whole focus is it's hands-on, get stuff done, make it work for you now. And on the page and team, make sure we put in the page link right now. It's aiaccelerator.com/live. I want you to walk out with a mindset of I can do this, the clarity of what tools to use in what order, the confidence to bring it into your organization, the commitment that this is going to work for you. And my son will be there. My wife will be there. That's Vivian and Zach. Um, and there's lots and lots of social proof on the page. Some of our AI Accelerator program folks are in here. Raise your hand, say hi. And yes, this is taking place at the University Club in downtown San Diego. It is a very high quality brand representative place in the tallest building in San Diego. It's 10 minutes from the airport, right next to great hotels. They have great food, and I'm keeping it small on purpose. This will be in the 40 to 50 person range. So you get attention, and we do a lot of prep work and pre work on you before you come. So I'll just give you, and also Pam Hendrickson's going to be there, and Brad Costanzo, who does our training with AI Accelerator right now. Oh, Nos does actually work in that building. Cool. So pricing, right now you get $500 off. That coupon is good for 48 hours. And I'm going to just go through some of the goodies that you get. So number one, live event ticket. It's currently half off. So it's 5K, and then you get a $500 off discount as long as you do it today. You get a one-on-one onboarding session. So we actually talk to you about your business. We're doing 3 virtual prep sessions before you get there. So you're going to have your head around, like today was, I know a fire hose. This is implementation oriented, and recordings of those. You're going to get a minimum of 4 AI playbooks and workflows, similar to what I gave you today, except more detailed. You're going to get my deep research playbook and prompts. And I'll tell you, I've spent 90 days building that and a small fortune. That's what I do my deep research on prospects and clients for. That alone is easily worth 10 times more on the price of this program. But you'll get the playbook and prompts. You get 2 virtual team tickets, so someone on your team can attend virtually. And as I mentioned, there is an upgrade if you want to bring other physical people. You'll get recordings and transcripts of the event. And we're going to give you our marketing campaign swipe file. It's some of our best campaigns that, yes, you can model using AI. Basically, take your own content, feed it into AI, and have it generate the campaigns. And then you also get my entire book library. And I have 2 Manus trials available. So whoever signs up the first 2 in this, I'm going to send you the trial. So if you don't have a Manus account and you don't want to wait, you'll be able to get in there. It's all I have left at the moment. If I get more, I'll send it to you. Whoever comes in. So yeah. All right. So here's what I'd love to do. That's the location, aiaccelerator.com/live. If you're on this webinar, you're a highly probable right fit. And anyone who's been to my events knows they rock, and we always attract high quality people. And John Kissel just signed up. Thank you, John. I appreciate you, brother. I'll get you that coupon code. So that means we got one more coupon code. And you did it from your treadmill. You stud. This guy has been coaching me and keeping me on track to put some meat on my bones. So thanks, John. Appreciate you. So let's dive in. I know there was some Q&A. Scott, first of all, if you've got an awesome question that's well thought out, raise your virtual hand. I'll answer questions. We can continue to go down a little bit deeper. Or Scott, do you have some questions that I didn't answer that you'd like answered? I see Lisa Murphy. She is a busybody. I love that about you, Lisa. I will absolutely bring Lisa on. So why don't we bring her on? You can ask the question. And then Scott, you're in charge of bringing people on and screening, okay? So Lisa Murphy, I'm going to ask you to unmute, but you got to show your face. Oh, this ain't right. Get on there.
I'll show my face, but I am also on Starlink and having a lot of
Okay, that's
connection
forgivable.
problems today. So
That's forgivable. What can I answer? I saw a bunch of questions rolling by. How can I help you?
all right, I got a little bit lost when you started getting into Manus. When you jumped from Notebook LM to Manus, and then you mentioned not using Perplexity anymore, could you just clarify those points for me?
Yes. Okay. So I still use Perplexity for a lot of research purposes. It can be really good, and it is faster than ChatGPT 3.0. I found that ChatGPT 3.0 with deep research is giving me better results. But the truth is, and I'm going to just dump something on all y'alls right now. I have there are a couple tools that I also use to if I want to engage 6 brains at once. So first of all, to directly answer your question, Manus is an agent, and instead of having to prompt something one at a time to get something done, you can say, I want you to take all my stuff and write me a book and give it some parameters, and it'll do the whole thing. All right. If you're using ChatGPT, you've got to prompt it, and it'll probably take you like 20, 30, 50 prompts to get to a destination. Manus will do everything all at once. Okay. Perplexity, I still use it like in lieu of Google because it's fast. But I use ChatGPT. If I had like only had one AI that I had to use for practically everything, it would be ChatGPT. Does that at least give you a little clarification?
Yes, it does. It
Okay.
does.
And
Thank you.
I'm gonna show my screen and show you another shortcut tool that I use all the time that's really powerful. And there's two tools that are like this. This one's called Chat Hub. It's a paid service. Poe.com is another one. But with it, I can run 6 AIs simultaneously. Now, why would you want that? It's because if you have 6 running at the same time, it's like having 6 geniuses working in separate offices who can report back to you. And if you said, I want you to write a biography for Mike Koenigs, who is going to be speaking on Tony Robbins' stage next month, period. Search for all of his information online and write a brief bio that will engage his audience. Okay. And I got to make sure it spelled my name right. There we go. And if I put that in here, so what'll happen is all these AIs start cranking away. So there's ChatGPT writes one, Gemini writes one, Claude writes one, Perplexity writes one, MS Copilot writes one, and Grok, it looks like it just puked. Don't know why, don't care. If 5 out of 6 work, I can push this button here that says summarize and compare. And now it'll synthesize all of them in one place. All right. So I know I just kind of added a little bit of complexity, but if I asked you what I ask everyone, would you rather have one genius working for you for $20 a month or 6 for 120? Yeah, I know it's a rhetorical question. Okay. So let's take someone else. Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate you. Your
Thank
advice is
you.
awesome. Yep. Bye-bye. You're in charge, Scott Code Norton.
All right, we're going to pick on Noah Dukas next.
Okay, what's the question?
He's coming up on screen now. I just have
Okay.
to unmute.
All right.
You there, Noah?
Nah, he hasn't unmuted yet. Oh, there we go. I hit ask to unmute, maybe uncancel it. There we go. Hi Noah, what can we do for you, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So first of all, great seminar so far. Learned a lot. Good tools and everything. One of the things that's been coming up in the engineering and consulting industry that I'm in is AI hallucinations when they are going and kind of fabricating data on their own. Could you talk on that a little bit more and how you handle AI hallucinations?
Yes, I can. That's one of the reasons I wanted to demonstrate and talk a little bit about Notebook LM because Notebook can do a lot of really cool stuff. So I'm going to bring up my screen. I'm going to answer your question, and it's also going to create a foundation for something I really wanted to do. I had to pick what to focus on today, and I didn't do Notebook. I usually do it, but here's Notebook LM. One of the things that you can do with it is put in tons and tons of sources. So this is, I have loaded up every one of my podcast episodes that I did with Dan Sullivan right here, and it can add up to 300 different sources. You can see it right here in the paid version, which is cheap as hell. You can add Google Docs, and Google Docs are like, you can have a 2,000 page Google Doc. So you could do 300 of those things, okay? Websites, links, YouTube, copy text. One of the things that Notebook does is now it basically can stay inside its own walls, meaning it only has your content, or if you're loading it up, let's say with engineering white papers or documents or something like that, um, it it will load up your stuff only. And you'll see here, like I asked it a question and I said, um, I want you to give me a list of the top 10 most powerful recurring themes that fit our ideal customer profile for the strategic coach business, Mike Koenigs Superpower Accelerator. Basically, take the top 10 things Dan Sullivan and Mike have talked about for 7 years and tell me what they are. And it not only tells us, but it includes citations. Okay. So that's the first thing is, nowadays, Perplexity, provides citations. ChatGPT is providing citations. And what you could do, this is what I do, is that when I get a report and I have the citations, I give it to a different AI and say, now verify every one of these claims and citations and mark the ones that are incorrect. So, you could literally do that on a multi-layered basis. But Notebook has the lowest incidence that I know of right now of hallucinating, and also know that the hallucination levels have decreased week by week, not just month by month right now.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for being here. All right. Who's our next victim, Mr. Scott Norton?
All right. I got a question from Roman in chat, but Roman just raised his hand. So I'll let you come first there, bud.
Okay.
Where are you? Where'd you go? Also unmute.
Audio. And Mike, I'm a big fan of yours. I've been to your seminars in your old San Diego office, and I'm a huge fan for maybe 15 years. So thank you for doing this today. It's amazing.
Well, thank you, my friend. You look great, by the way.
Thank you. And I've been like going hard on AI, and you are definitely at the forefront as you always are. You're always a trendsetter, and you are just like leading the charge here. So super fan. So question for you. Which podcasting AI tools do you like the best? And when I say podcasting tool, it could be like a webinar tool as well. And then what tools do you like the best for, creating clips, and then promoting that? So basically, I'm trying to figure out there's so many platforms out there, Mike. I'm trying to figure out which platforms I should be using, because it's really tough just to figure out which ones to use.
Yes. I'm gonna in the background, I'm gonna ask Lori. Lori, can you look up or tell me which of the tools Joe Fear likes the most for his podcast note taking? I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I know he's mentioned it and demonstrated it. But the two that I continue to use have been Opus Clip, which is pretty good. It's not the best, but we know it. And that one, grabs little chunks and it auto posts, and it's what we use. It's not as good as a real editor, but it's pretty good. And it does subtitles, and you can actually just feed it raw footage and it'll edit. The other one is I still use Cast Magic. Cast Magic can automatically sync up to all of your podcast feeds, and it will create notes, show notes, and you can train it to speak in your voice and create newsletters and content information and landing pages. So if I were just getting my one-person marketing team rolling, those would be some of the key tools. There's for some reason I'm spacing out on a couple others. There's one called it's okay. This is not the right word, but it sounds like blow fart, but it's a word like that. I know it's funny as hell, but it's like blow bart or blow fart or something like that. And it also does something like Opus. But I'm going to be, I know this sounds like a cheesy cop out. I will have a bunch of those tools, and very likely some of the sponsors at the event that will be demonstrating those, because over the next month, I'm going to be deep diving into the best stuff that we're actually upgrading our podcast broadcast tools as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, you got it. No, I hope I see you there. It'd be great to have you again.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay, my pleasure. All right, next up, Scott. Blotato. Juan Esteban got it. Blotato. Blotato. I told you it sounded like blowfart. Hello. Everyone who's smiling, I love you. Who thinks that's funny? That means you had brothers. Or a fun dad. Or a really fun mom. Okay. Who else do we have here?
All right. I'm gonna bring on Allison next.
I love the name Allison. She sounds like she'd be huggable and yes. How are you, Allison?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm having a great time.
Yeah, this has been so good so far.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love your hair, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. What
Well,
can I do for you?
thanks today. So I like the idea of that chat hub tool.
Yes. Or
Now-
Poe.com. Poe.com is an alternative that works like it.
Or Pro.com. Okay.
Mhm.
If you download one of those and pay for them, do you still need to then pay? Because I have a paid version of ChatGPT, I have a paid version of Claude. I also have like a GBT that I've paid for from another provider that's specific for copy. Like, does that all get integrated in, or do you have to kind of still pay for?
Yeah. So here's what you can do. In Chat Hub, most of these tools in Chat Hub included. I paid for it once. It was like $50, $40, and then I added the API keys for each of the different AIs. So it's using my account, and it incorporates all the learnings. I think Poe lets you do that too. So you're either paying a fee, and then they're using their own APIs, and they're discounting it because they're getting everything at free. I like the control personally. So and Chat Hub has like a free version you can plug in. You can have 2 windows at once, but when you have the paid one, you can have 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Was there a second part of the question?
Well, yeah. So basically, like, you would set up and pay for Chat Hub, and then eventually I could probably unpay for ChatGPT and Claude once I have everything transitioned, or maybe leave them for a bit.
I would pay for them, and I'm going to tell you why. Because ChatGPT and Claude are learning about you and everything you do all the time. And like right now, I have mine trained so well, it knows me so well that the value that I get out is considerably better than about 3 weeks ago. One of the things that I'll be teaching at the live event, I didn't have it available today, is I have a personality module for my Chat GPT that makes it a lot smarter and also lippy. She's really sarcastic. I like to spar. And it prevents my Chat GPT from saying and doing stupid things that I find annoying. So, and I'm telling you that because I think it's worth keeping the accounts because you want to have your mothership of knowledge, and that's invaluable. And you're better off using your API in that tool.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. And I'm going to answer just a couple questions that popped up here. FJ asked, would I accept startup businesses to join the Accelerator event? As long as they're funded. One of the things that I don't want to have is frustrated people in a room who learn some stuff and then aren't able to execute and launch. So if you have any questions about it, we're totally happy to help. And look, I want to help any business owner succeed, and AI is the mechanism and means of doing that. So, so I'd say just have a quick conversation. And Lisa wants to know if you'll learn how to speak like me too. I think that's what you're saying here. I'm not sure. Okay. Let's see. Russ Palmer asked a question here. Do I use personal GPT all the time? I do have a business version. I'm doing most of my stuff in my personal, but I do have a business account that we share amongst the business because I like to consolidate that data. I think if you've got multiple people on your team, it's worth the investment and worth keeping all that, keeping it alive. All right, Scott Norton, pick our next victim.
All right. Amir has been waiting a while. I'm gonna ask Amir to unmute and bring him on in.
Yes. Thank
Hi.
you. Hi, how are you?
Nice to see you, Amir.
I see you too. Thank you for the amazing presentation.
Thank you very
Now
much.
I
I
have a
appreciate it.
question
Yeah.
for you. Is it a chance for us to attend the workshop virtually?
Yes. For people who can absolutely not make it physically, we do have a virtual option. It's the same investment, and then you'd be able to get your ticket plus your 2 team tickets as well. And my bias, of course, is to do things in person just because I want you to meet other founders. We always bring in high quality people, but folks who are in different countries or just simply it's a struggle, I want you to uh I'd rather have you there than not have you there. So the answer would be yes. And when we follow up with you and onboard you, we can take care of that. But yeah, I'd just say go ahead and book it. And I'm sorry I didn't bring that up sooner. That we can do that. So that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Anything else?
Thank you. And is Manus suitable for every purposes and um, it can do everything from A to Z, from beginning to finish, or it is suitable for specific fields?
I have found it to be an exceptional generalist. I will tell you there's a couple things about it. I've built some massive projects with it, like entire branding exercises, book projects, and it breaks sometimes. So it'll run out of memory or and it'll basically say it has to reset itself, and it basically copies its project and starts all over. So it is still like all of AI. It's like the early days of using a computer, you know, when you had a hard drive crash or floppy disk quit working or your modem failed or whatever it was. Boy, I sound like an old man. But so AI is very much in that same space right now where, you know, it'll just do some dumb stuff. But in general, I found Manus to be uh, probably my most productive tool for now, and I'm testing out 2 other tools, and I'll be teaching those at the live event. And I'll definitely focus on whichever one produces the greatest results.
So it has some bugs, not perfect.
Yeah, yeah, it's not perfect. None of them are perfect, but humans have just as many bugs, just different kinds.
Thank you.
Right on.
And do you recommend Jasper for the copywriting or not?
You know what? I've been using I I find I haven't used it in about a year. It was good, and then I found it annoying and hard to use. And but I actually know the founders. I've been using another tool called ojoy.ai that Frank Kern put out, and I found that pretty effective. And lately I'm getting great results from Manus and ChatGPT and Claude. So again, my goal is to have fewer tools in my toolbox versus more many. And I see Scott Conorton nodding his head. Scott, what's your go-to at the moment?
I'm a big fan of. It depends on what the job is, what kind of copy I'm writing. For email copy, I really like ChatGPT, and I switch
Mhm.
between different models. And then I've really loved using your Manus a lot. So ChatGPT, Manus, and definitely Ojoy, but it's really finicky. I would suggest making sure you have a very strong swipe file, are proficient at prompting,
Mhm.
and um, have really good models to work with if you can get them.
Great. Yep. And that those little things that I showed you today, just doing the style guide and your ICP, man, you wouldn't believe what a huge move forward. I know that kind of feels boring, but sometimes the boring stuff is what makes you the most money in the shortest period of time because people don't do it because it's hard. And AI does it now. So, but great question. Who else do we have? Another question here, Scott. I'll just add this thing for Juan asked a question, which was, I'm 62 years old, crossroads of what to do moving forward. If one wants to start from zero, I still do residential real estate sales and rentals. I've sold an internet company. I'm not a coder programmer. Okay. So bottom line here, one is Lisa actually said, do the $1,000 cup of coffee with Mike. I get you squared up. And you get double time with me for the when you're on this webinar. But here's what I'll tell you. First of all, you're a young man. I turned 59 in 6 days. And if you are an AI enhanced anything nowadays, you have an edge over everyone, and no one is an expert and an authority. Some of us are just a little bit further ahead, but no one has staked the claim. But there is so much opportunity because every single business in the world needs help with AI and needs to find a way to culturally bring it into the organization and help make the transition with the founders and the employees and the teams. So my instinct are I'd look at, I always look at your past. And one of the things our deep research report does, it looks at your past and helps create a compelling future. We make a minimum of 10 recommendations, and then we figure out a way to monetize it because I believe that if you do stuff and you don't have a way of keeping score, you'll get bored and you'll make bad decisions. So that would be my advice is, you know, first of all, the best investments I ever make is I belong to groups with other founders in it because they hold me to a higher standard and I show up and I innovate and I create and I try to find ways to add value. So if you want to spend a little time with me, do that. Otherwise, come to the event and allow us to blow your mind wide open and make some new best friends that you'll have potentially for decades to come, because that's what happens at our events. You just meet like-minded aliens. All right. Who else? We'll do a
All
couple
right, we got
here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but it looks like we got a lot of people sticking around, so I'm happy to serve.
yeah, I'm gonna ask Kieran to come on. And Kieran, I just asked you to unmute. So unmute your mic. There you go, bro.
Hey, Mike, that's amazing. Amazing webinar. You were able to hold us, to the screen for so long. That itself is a great thing.
Thank you, Kieran.
Yeah. So I'm definitely interested in the 2-day program, and I'm sure it's going to be great. So I don't have any doubts about it.
Yes.
What happens after you attend this program, after it's done, is a big thing. Like, you get all that, you learn all that, and then you probably even implement some of it during the workshop. And then the enthusiasm waits, or you don't have the tools or the same stuff. So how do you actually thought about it?
Yes. So I'll tell you that. And thanks for asking. So here's what we've been doing for the past over 2 years now. We have had a program called AI Accelerator. It's been a digital training that the training happens every week. So it's a community. I know Lisa Murphy's in it. We've got a bunch of people who are on this right now who are inside the training program. And it's the way the training is done is each week there's a focused tool, a resource that's shared and shown and deep dove on and workshopped. And then the following one is it's integration, Q&A, and bring your problem and we solve it with you. And like I said, we've been going on for 2 years and some change. My intent with this event is that we'll probably wind up doing 2 or 3 in-persons, and then we'll continue the monthly training as well. So there's an option from there. We'll give you the option at the event to continue on and be part of a community. And the goal is to build the curriculum around exactly how we're doing this. Because the number one thing everyone says is, I don't want it to just be me. As a founder, I'm not going to be the one doing everything. I want to understand it, but I need to have my implementer there or my co-founder. So it's built with that in mind. So we'll actually have space for co-founders and implementers. Did that answer your question?
That's definitely a great
Yeah. So the first step, though, is I wanted to get the right people in the room, and then we'll create a really, and we'll create a mafia offer, is what they say. An offer you can't refuse. You'll be like, how could I not do this?
Yeah, got it. You're already good with that. So thank you.
No, thanks for showing up. Good to have your energy in here. I like your energy. Appreciate it.
So I think we have time for one more. Janice, I'm going to bring you on, sir.
Let's do it. What a great group of people, by the way. I just felt like I'm with family today. It feels good. And you've been doing a
Janice,
great
you
job
wanna-
too. Scott and Lori, thank you so much.
Janice, if you want to unmute yourself, sir. There you go.
It's me.
Hi, Janice.
Yeah. Hi, Mike. Actually, This is in 2018. I was,
I remember you. I remember you.
yeah, and we have a photo, yeah, selfie we made together.
Yes, it's good to
Yeah,
see.
so I have a question. Since I am doing empowerment coaching and for experts, and I help them to not only kind of regain again space, like they're like, today there wannabe coaches like in thousands,
Mm-hmm.
but there are really great experts which lose their spot on the market, and I help them to go back, gain their respect and place. But now the question is, what tool, or you have such a tool which would scrape data from the social media posts like X or Facebook, Instagram, and later, of course, you can do the analysis of it on ChatGPT. But is there any tool that you would suggest to use? Because from that also, that's what I'm trying, like I'm copy pasting that data, because from that data I analyze what these experts post on social media, and is it aligned with what they believe, what their message is, and so it helps me to work with them. So yeah, that's the question.
Okay, I'll give you the short one because this is a deep rabbit hole that you can go into. There is a tool that, first of all, try it out with Manus, and then use deep research with ChatGPT 3.0 on. So if you did ChatGPT 3.0 with deep research, and then also go over to Manus, you have to get an account, and also try GenSpark, and basically give it a command and tell it what you want. And you
Sorry,
might
what's
have
the last one?
GenSpark, GenSpark.ai, GenSpark.ai. I'll be demonstrating that at the live event. But those do a decent level of data scraping. There's a high probability that what you want and need might have to be slightly custom made, and there's two tools that can do what you want. It needs a nerd to drive it, unless well, I'm going to give you a non-nerd way of doing it, but I'm going to tell you you prefer to have a nerd so you can focus on what you're best at. But the tools that will be best to do what you want is N8N. It's the letter N, the number 8, and then N. And the second is
No, I know it. Yeah.
yeah, and make.com. And there are other tools that do similar things, but they can do data scraping pretty effectively, and you could find a nerd on a website, but you could use Manus or ChatGPT to create the specifications for what you want to make. And all I do is I just pick it up and talk to it and say, I want to create an application that blah, 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 blah. I want you to give me the program specs, the outline. And if you really want to fart around a little bit and fall down a rabbit hole, go to Lovable, and you could probably prototype something and even build the user interface. I built and prototyped a lot of little software products with it, and it's fun.
Okay, great.
If you want something to throw some time at, that'll be intriguing and intellectually stimulating.
All right. Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm doing apps right now on Glide, but yeah, so I haven't found yet a decent scraper. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, for sure.
Great content today. Thank you very much. Great webinar.
My pleasure. I know we've got David and we got Emmanuel. So Scott, you pick whoever you want first here.
I'm going to flip a coin and go with David.
Okay. Hi, David.
There you go, brother.
Off mute.
Yes, you're on.
Okay, quick question. You're working directly right now with Scott Hansberry on our team. He's my co-founding partner.
Yes.
And question would be, what's the best use of my time? Because he's got a computer science degree, worked with IBM for years and all that kind of stuff. So he's really quick study in all of this. I'm, fluent in most things, but as we know, this takes a lot of time to learn. What's the best use of us applying my time? I usually do the podcasts. I'm the people guy. I, have the most in-person meetings, all that side of things. Should I also dive in completely, or what's best use of my time?
Okay, what I've found accelerates the business the fastest is founders who know what's possible and get involved enough to iterate an idea. So think of it like this. If you So just imagine that you can sit down and imagine something, whether it's alone or with him, for example, and prototype something faster than you could possibly delegate it, or even faster than you could put something in Slack. Like, you can see it and then create a visual and maybe a little prototype, and then go back and forth and have just a little bit of a dialogue and agree on what you're going to do. Like, it's like a week's worth of time saving, and it eliminates the chances of cross wires and misunderstandings, and you get to get everyone on the same page. So I like to innovate and iterate with AI before delegating it to the executor. And I think a founder and a co-founder should be dangerous enough to do that. So I'd say that's circle number one. And that's the way I'm teaching nowadays. I found it's super effective. The second thing is, because you are a forward-facing figure, you're the Steve Jobs of the business right now. I think knowing ways of utilizing AI, for example, for marketing and content. So I've built some tools. If there's demand for this, it'll be one of the things I'll teach at the event. But I build tools, for example, that come up with 20, 30, 50 different podcast ideas based upon our past content and our most popular content. And when I meet with Dan Sullivan, I'll put 10 ideas in front of him and say, which one of these two are going to be the best? Because we usually record 2 or 3 episodes at once. But I've also got the copy written. I've got the questions analyzed because I have a little AI that does it. And it takes 10 minutes to run before our show starts. Like, it will make you significantly more effective at everything you do. And I think the most visionary leaders of the future are the ones who are AI friendly and at least can innovate and iterate, even if they're not completing.
Great. Hey,
Did that
appreciate it.
over answer your question enough?
No, it's really good. Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate it. This has been phenomenal. And as always,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I'd just say, if you want to, go deep, do the cup of coffee, and we could actually do something and make something together. Most of the time, I actually prototype something live. It'll be like, what's a big problem you have? We can make it and make it real, and that's recorded and turned into an SOP. So you're gonna go like, holy crap! Like, that's when someone's like, I just got $100,000 worth of value in 45 minutes. And I know it sounds like a hard pitch, but it isn't, because
no, not at all. No. For anybody that hasn't worked with you yet, the over deliver definitely is here.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
make more stuff up. All right, thanks, David.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I know we've got Allison here and someone else. We have one more.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Allison is come on in.
Okay, and then we'll wrap it up. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. I'm back.
Hi.
Um,
You're still sparkly.
yeah, thanks. Have you used at all? I'm trying to do a pretty robust content strategy across multiple platforms, and so looking for ways to automate it and for a new business. And so, 2 questions. I'm wondering, have you used Vocable at all for kind of content ideation? And then also, what's your experience with platforms like Planable or something for like auto posting? Does that affect engagement and stuff?
Yeah. So we have Go High Level, and that does some auto posting. And I'll be the first one to admit, we're not doing a great job of it ourselves. Most of what gets auto posted goes through Opus. So for anyone who's watching, listening, going, what the hell is she talking about? Part of what you want to do is, like, how do you create as much content as possible, whether it's synthetic or human created? How do you edit it down? And then how do you get it out there so it gets on as many platforms as possible? It's Vocable. Is that the name? I've looked at it before, haven't used it. That I have found a lot of those tools end up being a pit of hell. So what I would probably do is I would create my own use case, and I'd be really specific and say, hi, this literally would be the promise. Hi, I'm Allison. It's Moniz. Is that how you
Moans.
pronounce it?
Like Jones with an M. Yeah.
Okay. Moans. Okay. So I'm Allison Moans. Here are my websites. Here are my products. Here's this, da 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 da. And I want to find the top 5 tools that can accomplish this, 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 and this. And I'd feed that prompt into Manus, GenSpark, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and maybe even Gemini, the newest Gemini. And I'd look and see what each one of them comes up with. And then spend, I'd probably prototype whichever, I always look at everything through a Venn diagram. So if I've got 8 things going out and telling me something, and 3 out of the 8 all come up with the same answers, those are the ones I'm going to focus on. So I'm going to let the 6 or 8 geniuses narrow my focus down so I don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
Okay. Yeah, that's super helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's so many to try to
I know.
through, right? And it's like that's a project in its own.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's a and that is an area that I fully intend to spend some more time on. And Scott and I in particular are gonna, like right now we've been focusing on bigger offers and some old school strategies simply because I think the best use of time is do webinars, get long format podcasts, and speaking at live events and sponsorships. I think you can access significantly higher value customers for a lot less time and money than sometimes spinning your wheels in either paid traffic or trying to do high volume social, unless you've already got a significant platform and momentum. But you kind of got to buy it first and be strategic. And many doesn't monetize. If you got a higher, I always say get a higher ticket product, get in front of a better customer base, and find the source, the true well of the influencer in that space, and make them a partner and a collaborator, and you're going to get a lot further faster.
Okay. Good advice. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, I think that's it, right, Scott?
Yes, sir. That's it. That's all.
Okay, so here's where I'll leave things. We have the coupon code. That thing ends in 48 hours. I think we already had the Manus codes. If for some reason I can get my hands on more Manus codes, I'll distribute them. But I'd love to have you at the live event. Obviously, that would be a treat for you and for us. And also, if you didn't take advantage of the $37 special report, there's so much gold in there. I think it's one of the smartest campaigns we've done. I think going back to what Allison was just asking, that is simple as it sounds. You cannot beat that strategy. And then go to a higher ticket paid conversation. And that sets the table for that higher ticket paid conversation. And you'll be able to do more business with fewer people with a lot less effort. And ultimately, I think AI is the mechanism for keeping you straight on the straight and narrow, and using it as that coach and also your rapid facilitator. So, thank you. We'll get the replay packaged up and out to you. But in the meantime, start using this stuff and join one of our programs. We'd love to have you inside it. We'll also follow up with an opportunity to get inside AI Accelerator, just the digital version, if the live version for some reason isn't for you. All right. So one more time, thank you to Lori, to Scott, for attending, and make sure you tell all your friends this was awesome. All right. Okay. Bye, everyone.